It is the 23rd of October 2020, and this is the MMA Movement live chat. I'm your host, Robert Palin, and I'm joined as always by Sean Taylor on the other side of the screen. As you can see, I have something in the background, so I'm not in like a weird, like, fucking heaven thing from last week.
You've cut out the best one as well, which is
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah. Your favourite one is
Yeah.
somewhere over that way. But we'll keep that a secret. Maybe we'll reveal it sometime. But yeah, there's a big card on this weekend. Enough with all this preamble because I want to talk about UFC 254. Sean, let's jump straight into it because there hasn't been a card for me in a while that I've been as excited about, even though I have some reservations about the rest of the card apart from the main event and maybe even the co-main. And I also feel like there hasn't been a card in a while that has felt this big. Do you agree with both? As in, do you feel like this is the most excited you've been for a fight in a while? And do you feel like it's the biggest fight the UFC have done in a long time?
Yeah, it's definitely the most excited I've been for a fight, probably since Gaethje Ferguson this year.
Fair. So there's a trend there. It's all
Yeah,
just Gaethje.
the trend there. I think it's definitely the biggest fight the UFC can do at the minute.
Yeah.
Delighted both guys made weight this morning. We'll talk a bit more about that in a while.
Got dicey there, didn't it?
Yeah, I do think it's the most excited I've been in a while. I'm fucking and you know, for me anyway, and I think you're similar enough. It's because it's on at a normal time for us, and we could watch it we could just watch it so easily now.
Yeah.
Despite any, I know there's pay-per-view issues and stuff, but like it's a normal time. We don't have to stop till silly o'clock in the morning to watch it. So yeah, very excited.
Yeah, because part of the time when I'm watching a UFC card, I make the mistake of drinking a very high-proof alcoholic beverage right at the beginning, and then by 5 a.m. I'm pretty much absolutely fucked. So I can be absolutely fucked at 9 a.m. or 9 o'clock.
Don't even try saying 5 a.m. You can sleep by 2 a.m.
I have been.
I have the routine fairly nailed down on a pay-per-view night. So like 10 o'clock, you get some food into you. 11 o'clock, you get some sugar or caffeine into you, be it Lucozade or coffee. 12 o'clock, first can. 2 o'clock, more food. And like then you just continue drinking as well.
Do you have like a task scheduler or something for this? Because this sounds very structured.
Yeah, I don't write it down, but in my head, it's all up here, man.
Yeah, I like it. I might go with it this time.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. You have to get some caffeine into you before you start drinking.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's jump straight into it. As this is a kind of a special edition of sorts of the live chat. Normally we just jump straight into questions and we kind of do it that way. But I do want to focus a lot on the card this weekend because there's a lot to say about it, especially that main event.
That's happening this week, to be fair.
And yeah, there's not too much happening, but we will take questions as well. So pop your questions into the live chat and we'll get to it. And I can see the first one there, or not the first one, but one of them is about Sean giving his bets, his picks for the card, and Sean will do that. And we'll talk about that. But let's jump straight to the main event. Khabib Nurmagomedov defends his, I guess you can't really call it undisputed because there's an interim title at play. His title.
This is a little pet hate of mine, right? See when there's an interim title and they introduce the champ as undisputed. As in, is that not the whole point of an interim title? In that, like,
it is disputed. Technically,
the title is now disputed. Like, so
yeah, like that's what I thought the whole point of an interim belt was. Yeah, and then you unified them.
I'm just being really anal, Rob. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, you're being right.
Yeah,
you're being absolutely right. I think it's bullshit. Anyway. The champ against the interim champ, Justin Gaethje. Fascinating fight. And I think, Sean, for me, this is one fight that I didn't think would be... not that it wasn't a great fight, but I didn't think it was the fight that I would be probably most excited about for Khabib maybe 2 years ago. Obviously, the Tony Ferguson fight was the one.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like that's going to happen ever at this point. Even Khabib kind of admitted that recently, saying, I think Tony's probably... He's, you know, after that beating and trying to come back from that, it's going to be tough. So I think we have a really interesting contender here in Justin Gaethje, and a guy who I think has evolved unbelievably. And that's partially why I thought I thought too much there, but I didn't think that Justin Gaethje would be the guy, because at the start of his UFC career, he fought just like he fought in the WSOF. Very wild. He has that wrestling background, but he took too many shots and he put himself in risk of being finished. And now he still fights similarly, but I think he's refined a lot of his skills. And I think with Trevor Whitman especially, and you saw it in the Tony Ferguson fight, he's really getting Justin Gaethje to stop getting dragged into these brawls, or I guess instigating the brawls, because it's generally him that starts them, and fight with a bit more technique. So I think this is a fascinating fight. But what's your initial thoughts on it?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said there. I think Dan Hardy talks about it as well, as in it's, you know, the guy like Ortega. Sorry, drop one of my poker chips there. I always play poker chips just because I'm really fidgety. But anyway,
Fair.
If you look at Brian Ortega, so he took that beat down to Max Holloway, went away for a long time. It was one loss that kind of instigated going and re-looking at who was in his team, who was training him, who was around him, and that was what it was. If you look at Justin Gaethje, it kind of took two losses from to do that: Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier. Because it was the Eddie Alvarez was the first one, wasn't it? The first loss he took.
Yes.
When he came into the UFC, and it was close. Like he was on the cusp of winning it. And I think Dan Hardy talks about it. He probably still thought as though what he was doing was right. He was just unlucky to lose. And it took that second loss in Dustin Poirier for him to actually look and think about what he was doing. And I think Trevor Whitman talks about it in the Joe Rogan podcast to do, where he had to sit him down and be like, what do you want to do with your career? Do you want to be a champion, or do you want to just carry on getting fight of the night? Like,
yeah. And I think Justin Gaethje said it before those fights, and even after the Eddie Alvarez fight, where he said that, and I guess he still says it, that he wants to be the guy known as the entertaining fighter. But I think he did turn a corner, and was probably after that conversation with Trevor Whitman that he said, okay, I want to be that guy, but I also want to be the guy who can say I'm the best in the world at what I do. And I think that's what he's trying to do. It's a very interesting fight, because I think there's a lot of things we don't know. Especially with Justin Gaethje, and we always talk about it.
Did you see Trevor Whitman's media scrum this week? No, did you watch it?
I seen the headline, and he said that they haven't shown Justin Gaethje's secret weapon or his best attribute or something like that.
Yeah, so he talked about it. It was interesting just how he phrased it. He said he trains every one of his fighters with the immediate goal of getting to a championship fight, and so he trains them for, I don't know, maybe say they're 5 fights away from a championship. With that, he's training them with the championship in mind. So he has always had that end goal of Khabib in mind. And so he says that kind of factors into why they've maybe hidden the wrestling. And I mean, Gaethje says it's just not a good use of his energy. Yeah. His wrestling, which is fair enough. But it was interesting just how he talked about how we've put, not purposely, but like we've had this in mind with not using the wrestling as well.
That's very interesting, because that's actually something I wanted to talk about. And this applies to pretty much any dominant champion. And the weird thing about Khabib is he is a dominant champion, but he's not like the type of dominant champion that GSP was or Anderson Silva, because he hasn't had that reign. But in a way, for a long time, people have been saying that he is the best 55er in the world. So I think with champions and with Khabib, these contenders are, yes, they're looking at the guys who they're going to fight, but they're also looking ultimately at the guy at the top, and that's been Khabib for a long time. So I think that's partially why it's so difficult to hold onto your belt, because all these guys are looking at you. They're training for you in some way. Maybe not every camp they're looking at you, but for the most part they're looking up and they're saying, he's the ultimate guy I want to beat, and we're going to try to beat that guy. So it kind of makes sense, and it's kind of interesting that Trevor Whitman admitted that they were looking at Khabib with Khabib in mind, because they masked one of Gaethje's best attributes. That's very interesting.
It's fascinating. Like Whitman's really interesting when you listen to him. The podcast at Rogan's really interesting, and just how he talks about his fighters and what he wants to do with them is really interesting.
Yeah, he's a fascinating
He's very
dude.
I would liken him a little bit to Phil Jackson, who, if anyone has read Phil Jackson's book, he was the coach of the Lakers and the Bulls when they went and won their 2 3-peats. But yeah, I'd liken him a little bit to that, having read Jackson's book, I think.
Yeah, he seems obsessive about his training methods and stuff like that.
Yeah, but just how he interacts with his guys and with his fighters, and just how he wants them to be better people and stuff like that. And it's not necessarily all about being about the fighting skills and stuff.
Yeah, as well, because he seems to have, at least with the main guys that he trains, he seems to have a very good bond with them. Yeah, like they're friends. Like you see in an Embedded, I haven't watched every Embedded episode, but he's going out playing golf with Gaethje all the time, and they seem to be really tight, which I think can probably help.
Yeah, for certain guys it works really well. Some people want kind of a detachment between them and their coach, but some other guys just want a friend and something like that. So yeah, I think it's really interesting.
He doesn't seem to train that many fighters either. He doesn't have a huge stable of fighters, and I think that's partially because if you remember, he used to train like Nate Marquardt. He used to have a huge stable of fighters back in the day, and he had a falling out with Nate, which led to basically his whole team that he had at that time leaving him and going to other gyms. And then he slowly came back, and that's kind of when he started developing like the new gloves and stuff like that you see on the Rogan show. So yeah, very interesting guy. But that could be a fascinating kind of thing to see how he game plans for Khabib, because everybody knows what Khabib is trying to do, and he's going to admit what he's trying to do. There's no secret there. He's going to try to take you down, and when he takes you down, he's going to smash you, as he likes to say.
The thing is, he's going to try, and 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 he's not going to stop. He's going to keep coming. There's been some interactions between DC and Khabib this week where DC talks about how he only went and maybe tried to take Stipe down once, and he failed, and he didn't try again for a while.
Yeah.
And Khabib, and he compares it to Khabib, whereas Khabib will keep coming, keep coming, and keep coming, and eventually he's going to get you.
Yeah. And that's the thing with Khabib. He has a 44% takedown rate. And you can look at that and say that's not impressive, because that's one of the things I heard a lot of people talking about. What happens if you can't take Justin down? And as you said, if you can't take Justin down the first time, he'll try again. And could that be a bad thing against someone like Justin Gaethje? Yes. Who knows? But the thing is, Khabib isn't afraid to miss a takedown. And most of the times, he will chain the takedowns together. He's not going to try one, stop, back off, and come back in. He'll grab onto you. He'll look for a single leg. If he can't get it, he'll push you up against the cage. He'll try to take you down there. Body locks. He'll go into the clinch. He'll try everything to get you down to the floor. And that's actually one thing that I find interesting about this fight. I remember back, I was actually writing a script for MMA On Point, and I can't remember what it was about, but it was about Justin Gaethje anyway, one of the entries. And I was talking about his wrestling, and I was trying to research to see if he ever talked about why he doesn't use his wrestling, because he doesn't. And one of the things he says is that the way he wrestles wouldn't be that good for MMA, or he didn't say it in those words, but he said that it wouldn't be that beneficial for him because he wrestles like he strikes. And what would happen is he'd get tired a lot quicker than he would if he's just standing and banging, which we have seen in fights he has slowed down. So my thing is if Khabib does initiate the grappling and can get a hold of him, which I think you'd be able to. Can you take him down on the first, second or third go? We don't know. We'll find out. But will Justin Gaethje be able to defend that pressure for 5 rounds? And that's what I find it difficult to see happening.
Yeah. I think it's inevitable that he will get him down eventually, whether it's the first, whether it's the 5th, whether it's the 10th attempt. I think it's inevitable that he will get him down. And we just don't know how Gaethje's going to react to that. I mean, I've heard him say that he just doesn't think his wrestling is a good use of his energy, which kind of ties in with what you found there, in that it's very expensive of use of his energy. It takes up a lot. Like, so if he has to use up a lot of that energy in the first round, it's not very beneficial to him in the 5th round.
Exactly.
And we remember his surprise in the Tony fight when he was told it was the 5th round, and he was like, "Fuck, there's no way I'm in that good a shape." So I think it'd be interesting to see how he reacts. Yeah,
it'd be very interesting.
I think another thing that's worth mentioning as well is Gaethje's kicks as well, and how Khabib deals with them.
Yeah, sorry, just in John C. Trevor Whitman has also trained Brendan Schaub, so he knows how to train champions.
Did you see, I enjoyed this now a few weeks ago on Twitter, Darren Till went after Brendan Schaub, and I was like, finally someone who has a following is calling Schaub out on his bullshit.
What did he say?
He was just it was those ones I showed you before where Rogan is like, it's the best, and Schaub, it cuts to Schaub and it's like, oh no, it's the absolute best. Yeah. And it was like, he's the worst. No, he's the absolute worst, man.
Yeah.
And it was loads of this stuff, and just calling Schaub out for being a fucking moron that he is.
Yeah. So it's hilarious. Let me jump and see if I have any questions. Just a quick one on how we're watching it. Costello 3, or no, it's not 3 because there's an X1 there. Anyway, Costello asked how are we watching the fight. He can't get it with Virgin. Yes. So if you're in the UK or Ireland, this is a predicament that I'm in at the moment. I don't have regular television, as in I don't have cable or whatever you want to call it in the States, because I don't need it. I don't use it. And if I want to watch a football match or something like that, I can even go to Now TV or something like that. But even if I had television, my only real option would be Sky, which I don't really want because I have Virgin internet. So I'd go with Virgin. The problem with Virgin is you can't even get BT on Virgin.
You can't get BT Sports or any of them with Virgin, is that right?
Yeah, nothing. So I basically have no option to watch the fight on the weekend legally. And I would pay for it legally. Like if I could go and buy a BT Sports box office stream for whatever it is, 25 quid or whatever,
I
I'd
honestly
do
thought
it.
you'd be able to do that because
That's what I saw.
I've been paying for Now TV. I think I've said this before on here, but I've been paying for Now TV since moving back home with the
Yeah.
pandemic. Just because I wanted reliable streams. And I definitely wasn't streaming Everton before that. So if anyone needs help viewing the thing, be it legal or illegal, hit me up in the DMs and I'll try to help you out. But yeah, I will be watching it. I actually wanted to pay for this as well. I wanted to pay for it because I was like, we're getting it at our time, and I was like, I don't mind paying for it. And I have Now TV, and I got on customer service at Now TV, and I said, can I buy the pay-per-view, or can I get an app or something where I can buy the pay-per-view? And they were like, no, we don't offer that.
Yeah.
I was like, what's point? Like, can I get the BT app on my phone and buy it that way? And they're like, not in Ireland. You can do it in the UK.
There's like silly restrictions on it.
Yeah, I think
they're just asking for people to pirate it.
Yeah,
especially in Ireland.
You might be able to. I don't know if I'm probably breaking some law telling you this, but you might be able to put a VPN on your phone.
That's what I was gonna try.
You might be able to put a VPN on a phone and download the BT Sports box office app on the phone from England, as if you're in England, and do it that way.
That's what I was gonna give a go, which is technically illegal as well, but less illegal,
you're
I
still
guess.
paying for it, like.
Yeah, it's fucking
if anyone
silly.
thinks they heard that from me, then no, you didn't. So
yeah. Don't listen to Sean, or don't listen to Sean, whatever you want to do. Make sure you like the video as well. We have taken a lot of time off here, and we used to have a lot more people come onto the streams because we used to have them regular on the same day. Obviously, we don't have them now. So the more you like it and kind of share it around, the better it is for us, and hopefully we can get back on track.
Nathan Murphy says I've got plus 100 IQ points for the glasses. Cheers,
absolutely. I've
gotten used to it myself with the glasses in the glass eye as well. So
yeah, you look wonderful, Sean.
Thanks,
and that's not even sarcasm. That's you do. Do you know what I think would be interesting about this fight as well? There hasn't been a fight in a long time. Probably, actually, it's kind of with these guys like Khabib, but for some reason I find it more interesting here. Is that I think the first takedown attempt from Khabib and Gaethje's reaction, if he can stay on his feet and it doesn't end there, which I don't think it will. What Gaethje's reaction is then, I think will tell us a lot about how this fight is going to go, because generally with Khabib, we saw with pretty much everybody. With Conor, he struggled to get a few takedowns initially. Conor done a good job, I thought. But then I thought once he got those takedowns and started chaining them together, Conor got really flat-footed, stood in front of him, and he's still done okay. He landed some okay shots, but he was very flat-footed because he didn't really want to move and risk getting taken down again. We saw with Aloy Quinta, who essentially was in that, like, the wrestling stance. You know, the fucking, that, like, the parody wrestling stance for the whole fight, and he just got jabbed to pieces. So with Gaethje, because he's a wrestler by trade, I wonder if he stuffs a takedown, will he still be able to be loose? Will he still be able to strike the way he normally strikes after that happens? And I think if he can, and if he can continue to stuff takedowns at least early, I think we have a really interesting fight. If he falls into a completely defensive wrestling stance, can't really, and it is not active, and is completely, his volume has like plummeted, then I think we might have a problem for Justin Gaethje. So I think that's interesting what will happen there.
Yeah, I was just thinking there, we've spoken so far about like how interested we are in the problems that Khabib or that Gaethje can cause Khabib.
Yeah.
The thing is as well, you can so see this fight panning out where Khabib just smothers him for 5 rounds.
You could. You really could. Yeah. And honestly, I could see it turning out where Gaethje just overwhelms him with strikes because he stops the takedowns and overwhelms him. I think it's way less likely than the former. But we had, like, let's be realistic, right? So I was watching Morning Combat with Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell. And Brian Campbell brought up the question of what happens if that does happen, what I just said. If Justin Gaethje can stop takedowns and really pulls Khabib into a bit of a scrap, which we haven't really seen Khabib being pulled into. And Luke, who I'm a big fan of, he kind of dismissed it and said, well, I don't think that's going to happen. And they never really discussed it. But I think that's an important thing to discuss.
It's worth mentioning.
It's 100% worth mentioning because, and I don't say that I'm going to compare Khabib to Ronda Rousey, but the same question should have been asked before that. What happens when Ronda Rousey can't get takedowns and she's on the feet with someone who's a better striker? You have to have that discussion, and I think it'd be very interesting if Gaethje, as I said, if he can defend the takedowns and not get too defensive with his wrestling and get into a complete defensive stance, what will happen? I think that's an interesting question.
Very interesting. And like, I think that's why this fight in particular has like caught the imagination of a lot of people with regards to Khabib, because it can happen. And it's not necessarily something that we thought could happen with other fights with Khabib. Like Conor, I suppose. Like Conor was always, the wrestling was always the issue with Conor, wasn't it? As in, we knew he was going to get taken down. It was early for Conor. That was when he could cause problems, and he didn't. Although I did see an interesting thread on Twitter this week about the scoring of that fight. Well, it's under new criteria and stuff that it maybe isn't as wide as you might have thought it was. Anyway, little side point. Dustin didn't really cause any problems to Khabib.
No.
Submission attempts was about it, wasn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what? Actually, I was listening to Justin Gaethje, an interview with him on BT Sports. I'd recommend everybody checking it out. And honestly,
I'd put out some phenomenal content.
I'd recommend everybody check out every single interview that BT Sports have done. Adam Catterall, Carroll, excellent interviewer. Now, don't get me wrong, he works for BT, so I'm not going to say he gives softball questions, but he kind of does.
They're interesting as well.
But they're interesting questions. Yeah, like his job isn't to go in there and discuss unionization with the fighters.
He's not going to go in and talk about like Dagestani issues with Russia. With Khabib,
exactly,
but, like,
exactly.
The interviews are interesting all the same.
Yeah, for I wouldn't even say he gives softball questions. I'd just say they're PC questions. Maybe you could argue. But anyway, the interviews that he has done, especially with Khabib, oh my lord, with Khabib, and they play Dagestani pool. If you haven't seen Khabib on BT Sports play pool in the most hilarious way ever, like I could barely watch it. Like I don't do the best with cringe. And when he start hitting any random ball, and Adam was trying to tell him, Khabib, you're supposed to hit the white ball, and he just couldn't because it's Khabib. I was like, oh god, it hurts, but it's so funny.
There was some bits in it as well. I think it's not a London accent Adam has. It's like a Manchester accent, not down at the end of the country.
Is it? Yeah,
I think so.
I thought it had like almost a Scottish twinge to his accent, but I could be completely wrong.
Maybe
I'll need to listen to him again.
I was guessing, yeah, but I think there was parts. It's thick enough. His accent.
It is thick. Yeah.
And there was parts where you could just see Khabib was like,
yeah, what is he saying? Yeah, I don't understand the question. He actually said that a few times. I don't understand the question.
And in fairness, am I trying to tell Khabib that he's playing pool wrong?
No.
Yeah.
Just see the size of Khabib's head.
Yeah, dude is a big head.
He is a fucking monster, isn't he?
Yeah. Imagine having that head like.
Yeah. Also, when Adam talked about the BT little short cartoon that they done, you could see Khabib was choking up a little bit. Yeah. You could say he was trying not to do it because, you know, he's a manly man. He fights bears and all that, but he did. Make sure you get your questions in. We want to answer some questions. Let me just scroll up to make sure. Actually, I strayed off point when I was talking about BT.
That was probably my fault as well.
No, it was my fault. I start fucking praising BT for some reason, and I can't even buy their pay-per-view. Fucking dopes. Justin Gaethje made a good point. I think I've completely lost it, but he made a great point about something. Oh, this is what it was. Sorry. I blame you for that. So he was talking about Dustin Poirier, because you brought Dustin Poirier up, and when Dustin Poirier won the interim belt, because Adam asked him about what was going through his mind when he threw the interim belt down, Gaethje, and he said that a lot of fans got behind him for that, and I agree with that. I think we both had the same reaction. We're like, that's kind of a badass move, and it's kind of indicative of his mind frame saying, no, this belt is cool and all, and it probably makes me more money, but it's not the mountaintop. I haven't made it yet. There's one guy I have to be, and it's Khabib. And the difference between Gaethje and Poirier is that Poirier, when he won that belt, you can see the pictures online, especially because there's one funny one where he's like doing the thing, and it looks like Dana White is doing something from behind. It's quite funny. But like Dustin Poirier rightfully felt like he achieved something great there. And I'm not saying either one's right or either one is wrong, but I think the mental state that Gaethje has going into this fight is much stronger than what Poirier had, because Poirier already felt like he maybe reached the mountaintop in a way, whereas Gaethje doesn't feel that at all. And I think that type of mentality will be a good thing going in here.
Yeah, I think so. Even again in the face-off there for the press conference the other day, I don't know if you saw it. Obviously they did the press conference. Dana was like, let's square the guys off, and they went to give Justin his belt. I think he took one picture with it, and he was like, I don't want this. So he gave it back to someone.
Yeah. What's up? Everybody in the chat.
Tom Broom Jones.
Appreciate it, Tom.
Good to see him back.
Yeah, good man. I like
Have
Tom.
you seen Russian basketball, actually? Nathan Murphy asks.
No, but
there's been videos of Khabib playing it. It's fucking insane. It's literally, it's probably the closest you'll get to like Gaelic or something, except it's basketball.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just kick fuck out of each other playing it.
I was wondering because people kept saying that, kept comparing his Russian or his Dagestani pool skills was Russian basketball skills, and I wasn't really sure. I thought they were just joking, but yeah, if it's a thing, that's hilarious. Costello said, I'll admit it right now, I can't read Roman numerals after like 5
what
or
is it?
6.
It's X. I think that's
I
14, isn't it?
Is it? There you go.
So.
It's mad MMA has got so big in this country that we can even get pay-per-views legally. It is true. It's kind of funny. If you're an old school fan, it is funny. And then Tom actually mentioned, you've seen this orthobotics of UFC 240 or 254 being on BT Sports box office. I don't like it that much, but to be honest, as I said, I'd pay for it. If the fight is right, I will pay for it.
I have two thoughts on it. And one, if you disregard, I think it's bullshit that it is on pay-per-view, and I'll expand on that in a second. But
okay,
it's 25 quid, which is fairly good value for this cat, or like for this fight in particular.
Yeah.
Whatever, and it's on at normal time. 25 quid compared to what is it, like 80 in America, and you have to have your ESPN subscription on top of that.
Yeah.
I don't like it being on pay-per-view because BT don't put the event on. Like BT don't have their own analysts at the show. You're paying 25 quid for the UFC feed.
Yeah.
It's not like if you buy an Anthony Joshua pay-per-view from Sky Sports are putting that event on.
It's a production.
That's a production.
Sky Sports.
As in with BT, you're not paying for that. You're just paying to watch it.
I think that's a fair point. And I agree with that.
It's not that I necessarily want BT to have their own analysts either, because I like the guys that the UFC have.
Yeah.
But as in, it just kind of feels like we're getting cheated a little bit with that 25 quid fee when they're just getting the production for it anyway, and they've paid for the rights.
Yeah, they're not paying anything.
They're just making pure profit on that.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I completely get that view. The one thing I do dislike about the whole BT box office thing is I think you do need to have a BT subscription. Do you?
Probably.
I think you do. Unless you're in the UK and you can do the app thing, because you mentioned that.
Yeah.
And it seems like that works. But you're paying that on top of your subscription, which is fucking bullshit. Let's jump into this co-main event. Actually, no. What am I talking about? Let's give our picks, because we're going to pick on this one. Why not? I almost convinced myself to pick Justin Gaethje when I was talking, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go with Khabib. I'm going to pick Khabib by... Would he stop him? I think he might stop him. I'm going to say like a 4th round finish, something late. I think Gaethje will look good early. Khabib will start getting takedowns. Gaethje will wear out, and Khabib will do what he normally does and get the finish. But phenomenal fight, and I would not be surprised if Gaethje won. And that's not me sitting on the fence. If I come back next week, hopefully we're back next week, I will not say, well, I thought Gaethje could have won. I will take the loss like a fucking man.
I'm just getting up some odds here, Rob.
Go for it, yeah.
So I texted you earlier in the week, and I said Gaethje's quite a nice price.
Yeah, I did.
And I'm going to do what I always do, and I'm going to back the underdog and pick the favourite.
Don't do it, Sean. Come on, go with your heart. Your heart probably is Khabib, is it?
I don't know. I love both guys.
No, not even heart of who you like. Just like go with your gut. Who wins?
Yeah, like I'm gonna have a bet on Gaethje. He's been drifting a little bit. He's 11-4 in places. I think it's a little bit tempting. I think Poirier was around that price as well. Conor might have been a little bit shorter than that. I think Gaethje at 11-4 compared to the prices that Conor and Dustin were is great value. Does he win? I don't know. I don't think so.
Sean, you can come here next week and you can gloat about your pick.
I was thinking of this earlier, and I was like, we've had Noel on for the last few Khabib fights.
Actually, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Noel picked Conor and picked Dustin against Khabib. So one of us needs to pick. I think so. One of us needs to pick against Khabib here. So yeah, I'll go with Justin.
Okay, and you have to live with that pick. Just saying.
Yeah, I'll die by the sword on that one. I'll die by the tenor that I have on Justin Gaethje on that one.
Yeah. I want to get into the co-main event, but there also is some questions that aren't relevant to the card I want to get into as well. Make sure you get your questions in. Hit the like button. We really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel as well. We need to do more on this channel. I need to do more on this channel, but we'll definitely try to get these live chats in
Rob's
every
had
week.
a lot of adult responsibilities the last few months. So.
I have. I still no excuse, as I said last week. No excuse.
Just on, Tom said something in the chat there about discussing Justin Gaethje's penis. I don't know if you've seen the ad during the week where Gaethje was promoting condoms.
No.
He got some sponsors.
Is Condom Depot back in MMA?
No, it was Trojan Condoms.
Oh, really?
Called, yeah. So he was promoting a new condom company, and the tagline that was going around Twitter by MMA Twitter was at least we know he's not pulling out.
Hey.
Yeah. So
actually, before we move on and we talk about answer some of these questions rather, thoughts on the weigh-in. A lot of people think that there's some shady things going on with Khabib's weigh-in. We discussed this briefly, but what was your thoughts on the whole weigh-in situation?
So I got sent a video of Khabib's weigh-in. Watched it. It looks a little bit iffy, and I mean, we all know there's a reason they don't use digital scales, right?
Mm.
And we're all okay with it. No one talks about it. We're all okay with it. We're like, we just want to watch the guys fight.
Yeah.
And like at the end of the day, am I mad if something dodgy went on by like half a pound to get Khabib to make weight? Not really. Don't really care.
I'm actually happy about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't
really care. Yeah. It looks like he moves the level a bit quick.
Yeah.
You pointed out to me then though that the same kind of happens with Whittaker's scale.
Yeah.
I mean. Yeah, who cares? That's a great fight as well, that Whittaker fight. Just want to see that one. So
yeah. There could be something fishy. He might have missed weight slightly, but as I mentioned, if you go back and look at the other weigh-ins, he does it. That whoever the guy is running the weigh-ins, he does it a lot. He does it with a few fighters, and particularly one with Robert Whittaker, who never has had a problem making weight. So
he's had a couple of bad weight cuts, but
never had it. Like I mean, he's never not made weight. I believe.
Yeah.
Plenty of his opponents have, but Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, neither of us really give a fuck if anything dodgy went on in that regard because we just want to see the fight.
No.
There's worse issues than half a pound here or there.
Yeah, I agree. Let me just try to get to all these questions. As I said, get your questions in. If they're about the card, I'm going to just skip them for a second. I'll get back to them. But there was a few that weren't about the card. And I want to talk about them. Is this going to be the regular timing for the live stream going forward? I don't know yet. I don't know, but we will let you know. It's kind of good sometimes because as I think Aiden Mack said it, Aiden now on YouTube, he prefers when we do like previews, and I think previews are sometimes more fun than recaps.
Yeah,
and this kind of gives us the opportunity to do the preview literally after the weigh-ins, which is kind of nice. So it is kind of good. So maybe. There was a question there about Leon. This is the one I wanted to get to. Sorry, Sean.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
John C. Thoughts on Leon Edwards being removed from the rankings and then accepting a fight with Khamzat? Why did he choose this over the Wonderboy fight? So if you haven't seen this was really weird. Ariel Helwani reported that Leon Edwards declined fights with not just Wonderboy, which we kind of knew about because I believe Edwards went public on Twitter, right? Yep. But apparently he refused fights with loads of different fighters. He refused a fight with Khamzat. He refused a fight with Colby, apparently.
He got off of the Usman fight before Burns.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
Before Burns obviously pulled out with COVID, then Masvidal got it.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to say that Ariel's reporting is wrong, but like there could be some conflict there. I don't know. But if we're gonna,
there's a couple of points that you have to make along with this. It's not just as simple as in you couldn't travel for some of those fights.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But what I do find curious is calling out Khamzat, but apparently the Wonderboy fight is on the table. I don't get that at all, just like John said, because we spoke about this before. The Wonderboy fight is actually out of everybody near the top of that division. The Wonderboy fight is probably the best fight for him. Wonderboy is popular. There's tons of tape on him. The game plan is there on how you beat Wonderboy. I'm not saying Leon beats him, but the game plan is there. So the fight really means something. He's a former challenger. So two-time. With Khamzat, he's known in the hardcore circle. So a win over him and stopping the hype train is big, but only for us, only for people like us and people who are watching this chat. It's not big for the wider audience, I don't think.
The thing with like the issue Leon has had beating Khamzat only like it nearly exacerbates that issue because if he beats Khamzat, people are like, well, Khamzat was only a fucking hype.
Exactly. Yeah. Even the hardcore fans will say that.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So and like it's at the end of the day, it's a really risky fight because as you said, if you win, people are going to say, he wasn't that good anyway. He wasn't that good. If you lose, then you're the guy that lost. You're the Dustin Poirier of McGregor's rise to the top, essentially. So I don't understand that call out at all. I think it's absolutely insane. I think I'd say well done, Leon, if you actually want that fight and you're going to accept it and actually do it.
Don't think the fight happens though.
Unbelievable, but it's just the strangest call out ever.
Removing him from the rankings is so petty from the UFC as well, and like I don't like removing him from the rankings. I mean, the UFC are going to UFC. They're going to do what they want. It's their rankings. Yeah. The rankings mean something, or the rankings don't mean something until they do. They do mean something until they don't. It's whatever, innit?
Yeah, it's whatever. It's whatever. Nate Diaz impression. Tom Broom Jones. I spent the entirety of last night binge watching the Gaethje WSOF fights, and man, does he not like being in the bottom position. I'm now 100% convinced Khabib is going to maul him. I saw that too. Now, those fights were a long time ago, and I think when you look at Justin Gaethje, even at the start of his UFC career, and Justin Gaethje now, he's a different guy. But we still haven't seen him in the cage in the UFC getting taken down and getting mauled to the level that Khabib can maul people. So that's partially why I picked him. But I'd hope he improved.
That's partially why you picked Khabib, arguably one of the most dominant champions ever.
That's 100% why I picked Khabib. Sorry.
Yeah. Where can I watch these WSOF fights actually? Are they on? They're not on Fight Pass.
I think no. I think YouTube. Yeah, okay. I think they post up a lot of them on YouTube. Tom also said Sean of his stick 143 quid on Khabib by KO, TKO and Paddy Power. It's a 900 quid return. Don't know what that translates in euro. That's probably about
143. 143.
Yeah,
is like amazingly random. That must have been the way the odds were or something to get 900 quid return.
Maybe Tom was just looking to get a 900 quid return, so he kept changing it until he eventually got to it.
I won't be back in that. Funny enough.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if I was back in that market, I would probably back Khabib by submission specifically. Don't think he KOs Justin. The
thing with Khabib, right? If you look at his finish rate, he's actually quite spread out in a way. So he has 29% by TKO, 36% by submission, and 36% by decision. So it could be a good shout that he gets a sub, especially considering that we don't assume that Justin Gaethje has the best submission game. Maybe his defensive submission is good being a wrestler, but who knows? So that could be a good show. I'd probably go with TKO as well. Not a knockout, but a TKO. Yeah, interesting.
If Justin wins, how does he get it done? Decision?
Justin wins.
Does he win a decision? Does he KO?
It's just
how do you knock out that head on Khabib?
I know. He looks like an Easter Island head. Yeah. One of those jokes. I don't know. Like I can't visualize Khabib losing by knockout.
It's hard.
But it's hard to visualize someone losing by knockout when they haven't anyway. Like that happens with everybody. But he just hasn't been dominated in that way. I don't know. I think it'd be difficult to win a decision as well. I don't see that. I guess TKO. Maybe.
No, like I've picked Justin.
You can't. Come on, let's move on.
No, I'm like, how does Justin win? I don't know. Yeah, I could see maybe. I don't know what I could see. Look forward to the fight. 43 was the max stake.
Fair.
Interesting.
I wonder if it was like a boosted price or something like that with a max stake on it.
I'm
getting a call.
Paddy Power also. So.
Yeah. So my mate Carl used to host the show. He just rang me there and I had to hang up on him.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to answer the phone and put it on to see what he says. But
I have a couple of friends like that as well.
Yeah, I don't know if Carl's watching or he will watch. If he does, he'll see. There was a question there about Wood. Nathaniel Wood obviously fights this weekend as well.
That's a good fight he's in as well. It's a fun one.
Yeah. So the question was about what are his chances in the fight. And I think it's a really well matched fight. And I think Nathaniel Wood, I think there's actually two guys on this card who I would say are two of the bigger prospects in UK. Actually, is the guy I'm thinking of on this card.
Who are you thinking of?
I was actually just listening to Dan Hardy's podcast. Fighting Nathaniel Wood.
Who are you thinking of, Rob?
I can't even think of his name now. Anyways, Complete brain fart. Anyway, Nathaniel Wood, yes. I think it's a very well matched fight because Casey Kenny last time out, which was actually very recently, wasn't it? That was like a card ago or 2 or 3 cards ago.
Yeah, fought pretty recently, I think.
Yeah, the third of this month. His performance I thought was excellent. He looked phenomenal. I actually messaged you while watching that fight that I was so impressed. I was like, check that fight out. If you're going to check one fight out that went to decision on that fight night card, go check that out.
Kenny's a favourite as well in this fight.
Doesn't surprise me. Obviously, there could be a bit of recency bias there because he looked so good very recently. And Nathaniel Wood, am I right in saying that he's coming off a loss, or at least he lost recently enough?
I think so.
Yeah, so he lost to John Dodson, left hook, and then he won his last fight. So yeah, fair enough. Well matched fight. I think it's pick 'em, maybe close to a pick 'em, I'd say, for this one.
So you can get 8-15 on Casey Kenny and 11-8 on Nathaniel Wood. I actually think Nathaniel Wood's been bet in a little bit there as well. I remember looking at this earlier in the week. I think Nathaniel Wood might have been around 7-4. So if you shop around a little bit there, you might get a little bit bigger on Nathaniel.
Nice. I don't know who I was thinking of. There's somebody fighting from the UK very soon. I can't even think of their names. What's going on? Very strange. Drew versus Tuivasa is a hard one. Yeah, we were talking about this as well, Sean. Like, I don't want to bet on either of these guys. I do not want to bet on either of these guys.
Yeah, I like Tai Tuivasa. I think he's a really fun guy. I think he's a good personality. He's let me down a few times now. He's not the most reliable fucker. He's even money against Stefan Struve. It's Stefan Struve, man.
I know.
And like, I've seen enough from Tai in his wins to think that there's something there. And I mean, he talks about how he was just fucking arsing around in the UFC, not doing things properly.
Yeah.
He's been up at AKA now, and I think I can find enough reasons to have a bet on him in this one at even money. So yeah, and I think he's right. I think both guys could be fighting for the UFC careers. Yeah, I mean, Struve's been around for a long time. You know, he'd probably be around forever, but I think Tai is probably fighting for his UFC career here.
Yeah, probably. Like, he's on a 3-fight losing streak, and each one of those fights were very bad. Like, he's looked very bad. I do hope he is right, or he's not telling fibs when he says that he was arsing around and he's better now. If you don't beat Stefan Struve at this stage,
yeah,
I'm not sure how far you're going to take it. Stefan Struve lost to Ben Rothwell last time out, 2nd round knockout.
Ben's looked okay though last while.
Ben's looked good. Yeah, so again, I think that's one of them ones where
stay away.
Don't bet on it. I'd say stay away from that one. It could go either way. Yeah, I don't like it.
Tom raised a valid point there as well. Never bet on a heavyweight fight. They're all one solid punch away from an upset. Yeah.
One thing I do like to do with heavyweights though is put them into like the UFC fantasy. Like, if you ever play UFC fantasy, because they heavily favour guys who finish early.
Yeah.
Like Sean. Hey. And like, I was talking to Sean about it last week. I had someone, I can't remember who it was, and they absolutely dominated the fight. I think they got like 2 10-8s. And because they didn't finish, and because all their ground strikes was on the floor, they didn't count them as significant strikes. And I got less points for him than I got from somebody who lost by submission in like the fucking 2nd round or something like that, or lost by TKO. Makes no sense.
Yeah, that scoring system needs to be better for fantasy.
Yeah, definitely.
Surely you have to get rewarded for 10-8 rounds. That's insanity.
Yeah, you should. You should. Like, I think you get rewarded for a decision, but not the weight of that decision. Not like if it was scorecards. Yeah. Anyways, what else do we have here?
Want to move on to the co-main? Co-main's a cracker of a fight.
Co-main is a cracker. Any questions about the co-main, put them in the chat as well. This one's flying under the radar a little bit, and I think even in this chat, because nobody's talking about Robert Whittaker versus Jared Cannonier. At least I haven't seen it. Maybe there's some questions. I think a lot of people, tell me if I'm wrong, Sean, are underestimating Robert Whittaker a little bit now because of his poor performance against Adesanya and his okay performance against Till. I think a lot of people are looking at Robert and saying maybe he's not the same guy as he was a few years ago. Do you get that sense?
Yeah, I think I think Cannonier is very much the guy on the upward trajectory here, and I don't think it'd be fair to say that he's been given Whittaker as like a gimme fight at all. It's Robert Whittaker, but I think Cannonier is very much the guy who people expect to win here. I'm not so sure. I give Whittaker a great chance personally.
I know.
I think even money on Robert Whittaker. I've seen a lot worse even money bets than that.
Yeah. And here's a really stupid thing to say, okay? But I'm still going to say it, and hopefully it just makes sense and you get what I mean. If this fight happened a year ago, just before the Israel fight, I don't even think people would think it was competitive.
Yeah.
And that's kind of silly because you're only really as good as your last few fights, and he's had 2 fights since, so like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But you know what I mean? I just think that I don't think I've seen too much from Robert Whittaker to say that he's really a changed fighter in a negative sense, because the Israel fight, he didn't look great. I do believe him when he says that he was burned out. And then the Till fight, I think Till's
a bit more credit for that.
Yeah, Till's a difficult guy to fight. He's not an easy fight by any means, so I think he needs more credit for that one. But I do agree. Jared is on a very good run. Some really good wins. Of course, you can talk about the Branch win and the Silva win. 2 guys who are maybe a little bit past their primes, well, especially Anderson Silva, and I think Branch as well. Hermanson win was very good, especially because Hermanson had been looking excellent. So he's definitely on his way up, but to be honest, I probably fancy Robert Whittaker in this one.
Yeah, I really like Robert Whittaker on this one. I think even money, seen far worse even money bets than that. Cannonier, like at 4-5 again, if you like him and if you're all aboard that train, and it's not that I'm not on that train, I think he's very good, and I think he can pose a lot of problems to a guy like Darren Till or even Adesanya going forward. Adesanya has said that Cannonier is a guy who he wants to fight, who he likes watching. But yeah, I don't think we've seen... He was just emotional going into that Adesanya fight. He was burnt out. I believe him when he says that. He's had a tough couple of years. There's been some family issues that we don't really know what happened there. It's not been an easy time for him. I believe him when he says he was burnt out, and I think he needs to get a little bit more credit for that Darren Till win. That was a brilliant win. So yeah, Robert Whittaker for me.
Yeah, me too. And I think a lot of people in the chat there are picking Robert Whittaker as well.
The hardcore.
Yeah, I kind of missed that. What did you say the odds were for that?
So even money on Robert Whittaker and 4-5 on Cannonier.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's
my bet of the night is a double, and I'm just trying to find the market now. There's my bet of the night. It's a double. It's Robert Whittaker and the main event to go the distance.
Okay. Nice.
Is a double at just under 5-1.
Yeah, I like it. How late am I? You're quite late. We've been going for about 50 minutes or maybe a little bit less. Gonna go for another 20 minutes or so. So get your questions in and like the video as well. We need to get this thing back up and running. Question about Khamzat. Who would you want to see Khamzat fight next? There's so many options really, isn't there, for Khamzat? I don't really like the Leon fight. I think Leon should fight someone a little bit further up the pecking order. There was talk about the Magny fight.
I like that Magny fight, to be honest. Yeah, I like it. And Ariel said this yesterday. He's like, the UFC don't really have any willingness to do the Magny fight. I mean, Magny's been going like, it's Neil Magny. They don't really have any willingness to do it, and I'm not sure why. I mean, they were going to give him Damian Maia, and I know Maia's kind of on that retirement path now, so you kind of get into it.
I wonder if they think with Magny, he's a guy who he's like been around forever, and I'm not going to say nobody likes him, but nobody likes him, so I'm going to say they just don't. Like, nobody is it. Have you ever run into a Neil Magny fan? You just haven't, and I'm not
bland. He's very vanilla among UFC fans.
But he is a solid fighter.
Yeah.
So I think the UFC are maybe looking at that and saying, man, Khamzat is a potential star. A lot of people seem to like him. That's a good step up for him, but also it's a dangerous fight because if you lose that one, you might lose it and look bad. Now, I don't know. I might favour Khamzat in that fight anyway, but
yeah, I think that one kind of makes sense for what you're looking to do with Khamzat. Like, if you don't give him Magny, who are you giving him?
I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I have the rankings up here. Let me check for a second.
Yeah.
Neil Magny. He's 8th in the welterweight rankings. So like if you go through the bottom of the welterweight rankings, Bilal Muhammad got moved up to 15th because of Leon's movement.
Yeah.
Then you have Robbie Lawler, Anthony Pettis, Nate Diaz. Diaz will talk about fighting him, won't fight him. RDA is there. Jeff Neal, Vicente Luque, Neil Magny.
Jeff Neal would be a fun fight.
Yeah, like I think anyone from sort of Chiesa down is a fight.
Yeah.
Like again, for any of these guys, why are they going to fight him?
Do you know who fights everybody? Rafael Dos Anjos.
Yeah.
He'll fight anybody. There's a fun fight.
Though, doesn't he?
He suppose he does, yeah. But like, I don't know.
Is it him or was it his opponent got it? He was scheduled to fight and someone got COVID in that fight.
Yeah. Oh, Joey Cruz said Khamzat should fight Vicente Luque next, and I like that too.
That's a crazy fight, man.
Oh, Vicente. But also Vicente Luque for me is a guy who I'd like to see him fight somebody above.
Yeah.
Just to get him up in contention.
Robbie Lawler, Anthony Pettis. Again, like the problem with any of these guys,
I don't like the Robbie Lawler fight.
What's in it for them fighting Khamzat? As in, he's this guy on the come up. If you beat
him,
if you beat him, he was only a hype job, and if you lose to him, well, then it's a big loss for you.
Yeah. Costello said Tom Aspinall is a great UK prospect, 100%. No, Arnold Allen is who I was thinking about, and he fights next month. It might be the next card. Is there a break between his card and then a couple of cards, or no?
I haven't a clue, man. No, Anderson Silva's fighting next week.
Okay, so it's the card after that. Arnold Allen, excellent prospect, and nobody's talking about him, and I forgot about him. So that goes to show you where Arnold Allen is. Derek Moore, Tom Forst, Jan Vanderbos said the Whittaker decision experience wins it. That's kind of what I agree with. Tom Brown Jones, I wish Bobby Knuckles versus Cannonier was a 5-rounder. Man, me too.
I think 3 rounds is
nice. Yeah, it's nice for poor Robbie. Derek Moore, storyboards, only joining now. Missed you start watching the match later, bro? Yes, I will be watching the match later. Can't wait. Although I'll tell you, I can't wait, and then I'll probably be disappointed and annoyed for the whole night if Leeds lose. Gonna be a banger, I'd say. Good weekend of sport.
Aston Villa flying, man.
I know.
It's a hell of a weekend of sport. Don't even start me on this. Yes. And like, I'm not even counting rugby in because rugby's for posh boys, right? So you have tomorrow, 12 o'clock, you have West Ham and Man City.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Bayern Munich and Eintracht Frankfurt at 2:30. You have the El Clasico, Barcelona against Real Madrid at 3 o'clock. You have
holy Jesus,
Chelsea United at 5:30. And then you have the UFC at, I think the prelims start at 7 o'clock. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that. Actually, no, earlier, I think.
Oh, prelims are probably earlier because main card is 7, isn't it?
So you're gonna miss the prelims if you're watching the United match. Oh well, 2 screens. 2 screens.
2 screens. Come on.
Or 5 screens with
it ain't rookie hour here.
Some random Norway match, Norwegian league match on. No one knew.
It ain't rookie hour here.
Yeah.
And then you have Liverpool and Sheffield United at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, there's a
and
lot.
If anyone fancies it, you Fulham and Crystal Palace at 3 o'clock as well.
So Sean, what are you going to be doing on the weekend?
I sent this into one of my group chats earlier in the week. Balls.ie put out a schedule of the football on telly for the week, and I just sent that into the chat with the lads. I was like, if anyone's looking for me this week, here's my schedule.
Yeah, phenomenal. By the way, let us know in the comments, when do you think we should do these regularly? Do you think Friday's a good day? I think Friday could be a decent day. End of the week, with the lockdown, I don't mind doing Friday. I have nothing to do. Could change it when the lockdown ends. We'll see. But
doesn't bother me in the slightest.
Yeah. Maverick is a good prospect from Invicta sub win. I'd say actually. Yeah, I think I might have them her in my fantasy team. Joey Cruz, only way Jared wins is by KO, and he has to be fast enough to do it to catch Robert.
Yeah, and I think if we've seen Bobby go 10 rounds with Yoel Romero, his chin's okay.
Yeah. Tom thinks it's Robert Whittaker all the way, and I think Carl Johnson as well. Although I suspect it's not Johnson. Janssen has like one of those.
Probably Janssen, it has that thing over. I don't mean thing disrespectfully. But
but whatever it's called.
Yeah.
An umlaut, is it? Or is that's Spanish, is it?
I don't know. Like, I have a father in my name, so.
Yeah. Anyone else surprised Cannonier is 36? Holy shit. A little bit, yeah.
Man, it's been around a while, like.
Yeah. Although them crystals are keeping him young.
Yeah. The Infinity Stones.
Yeah. Speaking of, somewhere there, isn't it? Yeah. There it is there. Any more questions about this? Alvarez and Maverick by
Tom told me to leave
decision.
rugby alone. No one cares about it.
Yeah.
So.
Timothy Gallagher, love the Lord of the Rings poster, one of the greatest movies of all time. I agree. That's why it's on my wall. My favourite trilogy, and I'm a big Star Wars fan too, so that kind of goes to show you.
Yeah. You've got me. I've watched the Marvel movies. I'm watching Lord of the Rings for the first time at the minute as well. Bought the books. Can confirm I will not be watching Star Wars.
Have you never seen Star Wars?
No. Well, I've seen bits of them, and I'm just like, that looks. And like
Sean, we'll get you there. We'll get you there eventually. No. We will. Come on, lads.
The new ones are shit as well, supposedly.
Yeah, I'd love that. The new ones are shit as well, supposedly, because I haven't seen them. But yeah, the new ones aren't great. Oh, well, to be honest, do you mean new ones as in the prequels or the ones that most recently came out?
I don't know, whatever ones most recently came out.
Yeah, most recently came out. They're fine. The first two, I think. I actually love, right, the middle one is the one that everyone hates. I think it's phenomenal. No, that's wrong. I think it's very good. The last one isn't great.
I've really enjoyed the Lord of the Rings now. I'm looking forward to reading the books as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what's actually mad as well is the discrepancy between, you know, when normally books are massive and in the movie is like an abridged version somewhat of the books.
Yeah.
The books are tiny. They're not tiny, but like tiny in comparison to a 4.5 hour extended edition movie.
I know, yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
See, the thing with Tolkien is the author. He was a linguist, I think it was. So he wrote these books. He created a language, like Elvish language, is actually a language you can learn, and you know it's a functional language.
Yeah.
And then he created all this lore in the background that I don't know. I haven't read the books. I have them on my shelf.
Yeah.
But might not necessarily be in the books. But because everybody knows about them and because they're in the lore, maybe they put them into the movies. Now I can't say that's for sure, but I assume it is, to be honest. Let me jump into.
I'm just gonna put some blinds down in my room here as well.
Yeah, no worries. Costello, Arnold Allen is underrated, and he's such a technical striker. I agree. Arnold Allen is excellent. Probably a bigger prospect, in my opinion, than Nathaniel Wood. And I like Nathaniel. We've interviewed him before. Excellent fighter. There's more fights in this card we should talk about as well. We didn't talk about Alexander Volkov against Walt Harris. Walt Harris had a tough time last time out. Almost beat Alistair Overeem. And of course, look at the ambience with Sean. Almost beat, that's beautiful. Almost beat Alistair Overeem last time out. And it just went wrong for him. And Alistair Overeem right now came back and won the fight. Has a tough fight against Alexander Volkov because I think it's very difficult to look good against Alexander Volkov and beat him because he's a very good heavyweight. I don't really fancy Walt Harris here, but we never know. What's the odds on that one, Sean?
1 second, and I will get them for you now.
Cheers.
Volkov's a favoured.
I'd imagine so.
I'm looking at these odds sort of on and off all week because they do change quite a lot as the week goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Volkov 8-15.
Makes
Harris
sense to me.
11-8.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Is there any other fights that really stand out to you on the card? I don't think it's the best card in the world now, Sean. I think there's some good prospects on it.
If I was to go through the card from the bottom now, I'd call out what I'm looking forward to. Cowboy Oliveira's on the card.
Yeah.
Fight Casey Kenny and Nathaniel Wood. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I like that fight.
Like, I like Tai Tuivasa. His fight's not going to be exciting. Whatever.
He might do a shoey after it, yeah.
Yeah, he's better crack on embedded during the week. Ankalev and Kudalaba, that second fight's finally happening.
Yeah.
That one's been called off like 5 times because of COVID, hasn't it? Or a few times, I think. Yeah, then it's the co-main and main, really. There's not a lot on the card.
The Ankalaev fight, I'm very interested in because my voice just broke there. I'm very interested in because they obviously fought that weird fight that one time, remember? And the referee stopped it when Ian Kudalaba was doing the wobbly leg and all.
Yeah.
And that was that fight, wasn't it?
That was that fight, yeah.
Yeah. And now this is finally going to happen. It's one of them ones where I fancy Ankalaev, but because there's so much bad blood going into this one, it could go either way, you know. Could be a knockout on either side. But yeah, that's a good fight. The rest of the card is okay. I like some of the guys on it because I like the look of your man Da-Young Young.
Yeah.
That was like
you've got that
Irish. I like the name of your man, Da-Young Young. But he fights Sam Alvey and he's a bit of a finishing machine, and Sam Alvey, I don't know. This could be a bloodbath. Joel Alvarez in the opening of the prelims fighting Alexander Yankelev. Joel Alvarez looks like a good finisher too. Looks like a good fighter. Spanish lad. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it's good. Someone just said that Robert Whittaker is 29.
That's insane.
He's only 20. Like, I remember Robert Whittaker being on Tough, and he was really young on Tough. Yes, he is 29. Jesus.
Tell you what, his brain isn't 29.
Jesus, no. Oof. King of the Mods, Tolkien wanted, and this is a word transition, but let's go back to Tolkien. Tolkien wanted to create mythology which could have taken place in the UK because UK mythology which existed was destroyed around the invasion of the Norman invasion. Huh. Interesting. I know he wrote some of his books. I don't know if he wrote The Lord of the Rings in the Trenches, but I know he kind of got a start on them, I believe. Over under on Kutalaba faking chicken legs again. I'm gonna say he's not gonna do that again.
You wouldn't know, man.
He saw the consequences last time.
Do you guys buy into all Islam being the next champion after Khabib hype? Don't know. Kind of need to see him step it up a little bit opposition wise. But yeah, I mean, Khabib, if you're in and around that, I've said it before, but these Eastern European guys, they're a different breed. If you're in and around that camp as well, it can't be doing you any bad. So
yeah,
I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that he's the next champ.
Yeah, I just don't think it's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah,
and I honestly,
we haven't seen enough of him.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's like, not that's not likely, but I wouldn't put a bet on it. You know, I think we have a lot to see. Like if you look at who he's fought, really, like the best guy he's fought so far might be Davi Ramos. He was a good fighter. He won by decision.
Yeah.
But I guess you could say a similar thing about Khabib early on. Didn't fight the best guys, fought some good guys.
Hard to get him fights.
It was hard, yeah. But I think Khabib looked more impressive early on. And of course he has that insane win streak. Yeah, that's actually one thing. Baby Drew said Lou Thomas reported the Kutalaba fight could be off again. I have heard that. And also when I was watching BT Sports preview, they mentioned that they haven't seen Kutalaba or Ankalaev. I think it was Kutalaba. They haven't seen him on Fight Island yet. And they went to all the fighter meetings and all, and they didn't see him. So then I heard Luke Thomas saying that it might be off. So I wonder what happened there. Hands of Stone, are you from the UK? I assume you are, because I can see that you can do that. He's basically saying that if you have Virgin Media TV, you can order the Oh, no, Virgin Media TV. No, that can be UK as well.
I think that's UK.
I don't even have TV. I just have the internet because I'm a fucking millennial.
I think that's UK only because it's two different systems basically between the UK and Ireland, and so it's easier in the UK. Yeah.
Costello has our back there. Look, our Virgin Media box doesn't have live events option, and I don't have Virgin Media box. Baby
Drew just said one of the team members tested positive. Apparently, I think that's around Kutalaba one.
Jesus. That's not great, is it? Costello said Nathaniel Wood versus Casey Kenny should be on the main card. I don't understand why it's not.
Agree, but I think it's probably one of those one that leads into the pit. Is it the headline of the prelims?
No, the Struve Taito Avasa fight is. Ugh, why?
I don't understand if the Nathaniel Wood one was the headline of the prelims, and you're like, okay, it's a good fight to get you into to buy into the pay-per-view. Yeah.
Jeez,
that's not a good one to be leading into the pay-per-view, is it?
I agree. Well, it could be if it's a quick finish, but if it goes over a round, I think it's going to be absolutely ugly.
Yeah. You the wiggly man outside the car dealership fighting. So.
I'll be opening a can during that fight anyway.
So will I.
Yeah, 100%.
Be opening a can prelim at 5 o'clock.
Yeah. I think there's plenty of fights really that could be moved down to the prelims for this. Like the Phil Hawes.
It's a 6-fight main card.
Yeah. But the Phil Hawes fight could be moved down. I think Phil Hawes looks good. He has a lot of finishes. The Lauren Murphy fight I think could be moved down.
Yeah. To
be honest. The rest I think are fine where they are. So yeah. But yeah, I do agree. Could be on the main card. Look who it is. Fucking Brendan Dorman. I haven't chatted with that guy in a long time. He's in the chat.
Is he?
Brendan, let us know. Come on to the chat with us one time. I haven't asked it in a while, I know that.
Where is Brendan now?
He's on the chat there. Brendan Norman MMA. I assume anyone that's on this live chat, we don't have that many at the moment. As I said, we need to get this around. We need to get back to a regular schedule and get the viewership back up. But anyone who is on this has I'm sure heard Brendan Norman before or watched his videos, if you haven't, go check him out.
Don't see us get some people on either. I mean,
yeah,
who could we get on?
get loads of people.
Yeah, Chuck. Back.
The conscientious objector, Jared or Robert, who you got? We did we actually?
Robert.
Yeah, Robert. We did predict that. Let's go through the main. Let's do picture the whole card, Sean.
The whole card.
The whole card before we
come on.
answer a few more questions and get out of here, and I can get ready mentally for the Leeds match.
Okay.
So Khabib and Justin. We're gonna revise these because we've already given our picks, but let's do it. Khabib, Justin. I'm going Khabib. You're sticking with your pick.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Justin.
Okay. Robert Whittaker, Jared Cannonier.
Bobby Knuckles.
Volkov, Walt Harris.
Volkov.
Phil Hawes, Jacob Malkoon. He's 4-0, Jacob. I've heard people saying he's a good fighter, but Phil Hawes for me.
Yeah, Phil Hawes 4-0. I mean, it wouldn't be the biggest upset, I think, if he lost, but
no.
I'll make a lazy pick and I'll take Phil Hawes. Lauren Murphy. Oh, why did I take this one? This round?
Do the second name. The second name you can get because it looks like a tennis player.
I have this on my other screen where I can't see it that well. Lauren Murphy and Lilia Shakirova.
I think you nailed it, Sean.
Yeah,
I think
the lads.
I think the UFC should hire you. Lauren Murphy for me. I think that's. It's a women's fight. It could go either way, to be honest. I haven't seen much of thing. Yeah, it is 100%. Don't put her on your fantasy team.
Yeah, I'll take Lauren Murphy as well. Ayan Kutalaba, Magomed Ankalev. Nail that one.
If it happens, I'll take Ankalev, but I honestly think this could go either way. Just the guys involved.
I'll take Kutalaba just to go against you. Yeah.
Stefan Struve. Oh Jesus Christ.
I'm taking Tai Tuivasa in this one. I think if you can't beat Stefan Struve, you may retire.
I'm taking Stefan Struve. I don't
really.
I am. What are you supposed to do with that fight? Come on, Stefan Struve by a fucking triangle choke or something. Tai Tuivasa will drop him, as you know, customary with a Stefan Struve fight. Stefan Struve will triangle him when Tai Tuivasa stupidly jumps into his guard.
Yeah.
If that happens. Who's next? Casey Kenny, Nathaniel Wood. Oh man, this one's stumping me.
I'm going to take Nathaniel Wood.
I'll take Casey Kenny to go a little bit different.
Alex Oliveira. Why did I take this one again? Alex Oliveira, Shavkat Rashmanov. I think I nailed that one actually.
I think you nailed that one. Yeah, you did.
Tough fight to pick that one actually.
That is a tough fight to pick.
I'm looking at the odds here. I'm doing up an ACA as I go here.
How are you?
Yeah.
Class. Send that on to me afterwards.
Only on my picks though.
Yeah. So, do you know what? I'll take the kind of unknown. Where is he even from?
Rashmanov.
What's that flag? Uzbekistan.
Oh, then
if that's how you say
it.
He has a 100% finish rate, I believe. Beating guys with good records for the region, it looks like. I'm gonna take him. Why not? I've never been hugely impressed with Oliveira. He cheats a little bit. I think he missed weight again, I believe, so that you might have an advantage there. But I'm gonna take the newcomer.
Yeah, I'll go with you. I'll go with Shavkat. He's 5'6".
You said that with such confidence. I'm gonna go with Shavkat. Me mate Shavkat.
Da-Un Young and Sam Alvey.
Oh, Da-Un Young all day, every day. Bloodbath.
Great, I'll take him. He's 3-10. Linya Jua, Miranda Maverick as well for me. And then finally, to kick it all off, Joel Alvarez and Alexander Yakovlev.
Yakovlev. Yeah.
Yakovlev.
Joel Alvarez all day for me.
Yeah. And if you want the 12-fold accumulator on my picks, you can have 1,582 to 1 on it. And they'll probably let you have €2 on it.
Did you take down my picks?
No.
Fuck's sake, Sean.
That's on you, man.
Fuck's sake, Sean.
I was doing my picks. I can't do both. Otherwise, it's
you
not
can do both.
Do
it on a separate screen.
Come on, man.
Somebody go back and take them picks and send them to me because I'm too lazy to do it.
I'm not even going to do the ACA.
Do it. Stick 50 cents on it.
I suppose I'm going to have to
now. Let's quickly go through a couple more questions and then we'll get out of here. Thanks to everybody for joining as usual. As I keep saying, if you can like the video, I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel and share this with people. And we can try get this back up and running, because we used to have a lot of people on the chat, and we still have, we have some great interaction.
That's the hardcore here, Rob.
We have the hardcore fans, which is fucking brilliant, because we actually get a lot of questions. But if we can bump the numbers up and help us out, that would be fucking awesome. Anyway, let's jump through this really quick. The Nathaniel Wolf questions. Jumping the gun a bit. This is Scott Schneider, almost Scott Steiner, which I love. Jumping the gun a bit, but who do you favourite in a Conor Dustin 2? Pretty surprised that the odds favouring Conor that much personally. We touched on this last week.
I agree with you.
Yeah, we spoke about this last week. I think the odds probably should be closer, or at least I'd say they should be closer. I think it's a closer fight. But I did say last week, and I do stick to it, I think Conor would probably edge it. Not hugely confident in it. And I think you picked Dustin, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a text actually from someone last week saying that it was an outrageous statement that Dustin beats Conor in a rematch. I don't think it is an outrageous statement.
No.
Whoever the guy who it was said it will know he's watching.
Yeah.
Or he will be watching. Yeah, I think those odds should be way closer. I agree. I think it's still a close fight, but yeah, I'd be very happy to take Dustin at those odds. I think
and he's been active too.
Yeah, I think Dustin's a massively changed fighter since that first fight, and we don't really know how changed Conor is. I mean, we've seen John Kavanagh was tweeting saying that he has the hunger back and stuff, but I mean, it's kind of standard talk, isn't it, about Conor every time he fights?
Yeah. Every time he fights,
you can't really believe a lot of the stuff that's said around Conor all the time. So, Dustin for me.
Awesome.
I seen someone else mention there just about using a VPN to buy the pay-per-view, so I think that could be your best bet.
I might give it a go. The only thing is, right, I've used a VPN before and it was fine, but sometimes the servers can be a little bit, like I've bought NordVPN, which is actually quite good, but sometimes the servers can be a bit iffy. But I think if it's a decent VPN with an official stream, you'd imagine it should be fine.
You would expect to be fine.
Anyways, I hope that works, because sometimes they block VPNs. If anybody has ever done it on BT Sports on the UK thing, let me know.
Yeah, if anyone's really stuck, I mean,
yeah, no, but I want to support the cause. Do you know what I mean? Not really. I just want a stable stream.
Yeah.
It's actually happened to me before, where I was watching. What fight was it? It was a fight that I can't remember what fight it was, but it ended in a knockout really early on, and the stream froze right at the start of the fight. Came back on, and the fight was over. It was the main event. So fucking annoyed.
I just thought of something else there, sorry, around the Conor Dustin fight. John Kavanagh was tweeting at the weekend, and he said seeing both these guys at 170 will be a pleasure. Fuck off having
what
that
are you
fight
doing
at
170? It makes, I know Dana said that's not going to happen at 170. It makes no sense. So I hope Dana is a man of his word.
Yeah, I don't think it bothers Dustin where it is. I think Conor will want it at 170 just because he doesn't want to make 55 unless it's for a title, which again is probably fair enough because he's probably the one guy who can dictate that. But I think if this fight is to happen, it has to be 55.
Yeah. Can you do us a favour really quick while I'm checking the next question? Someone asked about the start time of the UFC, and we've been kind of saying times all over the shop.
Yeah.
Can you check the time there just to see what time it actually starts at prelims?
Yeah. 1 second, and I'll get UFC Europe up here.
Yeah.
UFC Europe is actually a very handy page just to follow for times and all stuff like that.
Yeah, it is. Joey Cruz, would you support Khabib getting an immediate rematch if he won, or would you want Gaethje versus Conor or Poirier? To be honest, I wouldn't mind an immediate rematch for Khabib. He's been so dominant. And I'm not making excuses. I think if he loses, he loses. Justin Gaethje is an amazing fighter. But there is some things there where I'd like to see, like, his father passing away very recently and things like that. I don't think it's going to affect him anyway, but I wouldn't mind seeing an immediate rematch. He's been so dominant. And even though he hasn't really had a lengthy title run, I think how dominant he has been with the belt has been very impressive. I wouldn't mind that, personally.
Man, the Fight Pass prelims are at 4 p.m.
Holy shit. Damn, I gotta.
I'd imagine then first fight would be like 4:30 or something, but damn.
Probably 4:15. Probably early. Jesus, I better move everything that I'm doing tomorrow so I can watch.
This is going to be over at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah. How crazy that's going to be. Sean's going to be absolutely scuttered at 10 o'clock.
Absolutely sloshed, like. And I'm going to be like, why isn't the bird chirping now? And I'm going to be like,
Quickly get your questions in. We're going to go for another 5 minutes and then we're legging it. I got to go. Got to make dinner. I'm going to watch the match. And also, if you have any true or false questions, they're usually quick and they're fun.
Oh, yeah.
Go for them.
We've done some quick questions before, yeah.
Yeah. The conscientious objector is acknowledging Brendan Dorman in the chat. Brendan, we love you. We miss you. Tom Broom Jones, you could get me on. Why not? Let's do it, Tom. Give us a shout.
Tom wants to come on. We can get Tom on.
Yeah, why not?
I see Carl Doran's in the chat there, Rob.
Is he?
Yeah.
He texted me there a minute ago, as I said, and rang me. Did he say anything vulgar? Where is he?
No. It's funny actually what he said.
What did he say?
So he said the phone call from my old lad to spoil McGregor's 13-second knockout of Aldo.
Yeah.
Worst spoiler.
That happened to him. I was obviously at that one, so I wasn't watching it with him. But yeah, he was telling me that
That's
his feed was a bit on the kind of delayed side.
So I've recently moved how I watch stuff. No longer using ITV. I've found another avenue to watch my sport. Some of the other lads use this avenue as well, but it is somewhat behind the other streams. So our group chat's a nightmare. But it's like nobody talks about goals.
Yeah.
This person has said it because he's obviously 40 seconds behind the rest of us.
And plus, the Cavan internet can't be good. I'd say the latency is terrible as well.
It's actually working all right. To be honest, works all right for this. It's been reliable enough.
To be honest, your connection has been phenomenal today, Sean. Whatever you're doing over there in Cavan, it's working. Let me go through these questions really quick. Where was I? Actually, there was one or two questions on the post I put up. I better get to them. Defo get Brendan Dorman on. I agree. Does no crowd benefit Gaethje? I don't think it benefits any of them.
Don't think it's a massive difference.
Maybe
it probably helps Gaethje. It probably does help Gaethje if anything.
You think so?
Don't think it's a massive difference. I think he has turned that corner and that he's not going to get drawn into the brawl like he used to. But
yeah,
I mean, you can look at it that way.
Yeah, I guess and especially because it's in Khabib territory essentially.
Yeah.
It would have been a hostile territory if the fans were there, but
I'm not so sure about that.
No,
I mean, if you look at the crowd that would be at the fight, I don't think they're the rowdiest of.
I get you. Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
fair,
I mean,
fair.
It's an away fight for Justin. If you have a crowd, it's not like it's West Ham and Millwall away.
That's true.
That kind of crowd.
Imagine it was like that. Imagine all the lads.
It's not that kind of crowd. I don't think so.
Hands of Stone. Are you in the UK? Or are you in Ireland? Let me know.
Whether you're a Republican or a Unionist, doesn't it?
Are you on the island of Ireland, or are you? If you go to a UK website, does it detect you as being in Ireland or the UK? Let me know, because if you did get it through a VPN and it worked, thank you. I'll go for that. Give the boys a like, yes sir. 170 is pointless for Connor, and
stupid.
Yeah, so stupid. Gaethje avoids being squished against the fence for a majority of the fight. True or false? False, because I think Khabib was going to win. I think that's probably his route to win. Tom Brown Jones, Rob, I'll DM you on Twitter, lad. This channel needs some English flavour.
He will DM you.
Yeah, well,
we get him on.
Yeah, for sure.
We always have good fun with Tom on Twitter as well, so it'd be good to get him on.
Yeah, for sure. Khabib shouldn't face Conor or Poirier. We want to see him face new opponents, not people he already dominated. GSP should be next, or face Tony versus Chandler winner. I agree. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it makes sense. And then we'll see if Khabib wants to go after 30-0, which I'm not even sure he will want to. Then we'll see after that. How do you feel that Khabib does at welterweight? I personally believe Usman is similar with size advantage, and Covington would be a very interesting fight. But does Khabib dominate everyone else? I'd have to really think about that one. I'm not too sure.
He said something interesting in that interview with Adam Catterall, where he just said that was a lightweight. He didn't.
I know. Yeah, he really. Yeah. He really stuck to that, didn't he?
I think if we see that, I don't think GSP is making 55 or has any interest in making 55. I think if we see that, it's at like 165 catch weight or something.
Yeah. The Khabib fans at UFC 242 against Poirier were very respectful to Poirier.
Yeah.
And he said as much. Yeah, that's fair. That was, I'm talking bollocks. Sean already told me I was talking bollocks.
Yeah.
Last one before I go to the two that's on the channel. True or false? Main event will end in less than 3 rounds. I'm gonna say no. False.
Yeah, I'll go false as well.
Okay. And then the question I wanted to get to. Actually, someone asked, will Brendan Dorman be on the breakdown of the fight? No, but he was in the live chat for a minute anyway.
But he'd be breaking it down on Twitter as well for you. So
yeah, yeah. David Little, what next for Chimaev? Surely one of the most impressive UFC career. We already answered that one slightly, but we both think that Magny could be a good one just because they're talking about it.
It's tough guy to match, though, isn't he? He's kind of at that guy at the minute where just, who wants to fight it? Like, there's not really any upside for a lot of the guys they're looking at. So it's just hard. And I mean, you can get those first 3-4 guys from fight him, but they're well below the ranking. So it's hard to find that. Like, he comes in, he fights. I don't want to say gimme fights, but you know what I mean. Then you ideally want to push him onto that middle ground, and then you want to push him onto the elite, and it's hard to get that bridge between them at the minute.
Yeah, I agree. We'll leave it there. Thanks to everyone for joining in the chat. We'll try to advertise this next time a bit further in advance. But as I said, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let us know what day you think would be best for your schedule for us to go live. Friday might be the day. It seems like it's fitting both our schedules at the moment. We're currently in lockdown in Ireland, so it's not a whole lot else to do.
Yeah, we don't have a whole fucking pile else to be at.
Exactly. But enjoy the fights tomorrow night. Tomorrow day for us. And we will chat next week. And follow us on Twitter as well, because we'll most likely be live tweeting. Sean, where are you at?
At Sean T180.
At the Robert Palin. Someone actually said something very funny. And it was on an MMA On Point video because they put my name at the end when I write a script. And someone said, is D. Rob Palin related to D. James Krause? I found that very funny. Great one. But yeah, Sean, I'll chat to you soon. Probably during the Leeds match if you're going to watch it.
Take it easy, man.
Cheers.